I've been working on finding substitutes for sponge bars and sponge strips. There's no good reason to do this if you can get one to your specification. But if you cannot, because of where you live or because you've extended the machine, it's nice to have an alternative. So that's what we're working on. This is my KX350. It could use a new sponge strip, but I had such good success with using aquarium tubing, a doubled strand, on the HK100, which there's another video about it, that I thought that I would try it on this machine, and indeed it does work. But I got a surprise. I did not know the sponge channels were that much different, but it only took one strand. I was able to work 2 through, but when I went to use the needles, they were hard to push in and out even with my fingers. So that's asking too much of the carriage. I went and threaded a single strand through and had quite a success. I'll show you how I did it, and then we'll do some testing. Once I removed the old sponge strip, which pulled on out because it was getting weak, I inserted this wire all the way in at the right-hand end, pushed it through, making sure it stayed above the needles, and bent that little bend in it so we can pull it back through. None of that was very difficult. You do need to get the wire fastened to itself, and my wire is quite stiff, so I needed to use pliers to get it bent. What we want to avoid is having a free end of wire that could catch on the channel itself or on the needles as we pull back through. Jack helped me with the double-size LK100, but I'm wanting to see here if one person can do it on a normal width machine, feeding in with my left hand and pulling on the wire with my right hand. I found I could not grip the wire well enough with bare hands and that I needed to use pliers, but now it's starting to work. Once I got the technique down, I had it through the whole channel in less than a minute. Here it is coming out the other end. Do allow a little extra length because there's just about always some damage where you pull the tube. A manual test feel of those needles feels good. Next step is to very carefully knit to and fro with the carriage, but without any yarn actually in it. I'm making sure that all the functions seem normal and that the needles, most of all, do not get stuck in the carriage and the carriage doesn't have too hard a job. In other words, it's not under strain while trying to move the needles to and fro, but this feels normal. Okay, let's try the real thing. I'm going to knit from E-wrap, starting with the needles all the way forward and having them knit back from hold. Whenever you try something completely unfamiliar that you're not sure is going to work on the machine, it's important to be super gentle and sensitive and not do any forcing whatsoever. So you might even see me stop mid-row if I feel any resistance or anything that feels like it could be a problem. Don't want to damage our machine. That went very nicely. I'm using a stitch size that I have often used on this yarn. All good. I hesitated and dropped a stitch, so I'll just fix my misdeeds and then knit a few rows of stockinette. This seems to be absolutely plenty of push down for stockinette. Let me go get a comb so we can try some tuck. For tuck, I've set the carriage to hold the needles that are forward. And then I'm going to bring every 6th one out. And we'll knit a few rows like that. Now I'll let them knit back. Now I will do that again. but starting with an alternate group. And I see I have one that didn't knit off here properly. Looks to me like a yarn flaw, though. There's a big fuzzy blob, so there was a faulty yarn join. And I'm not going to blame the machine just yet. What we're doing now is, this is the one that tucked. There was a group of 5 normal knitting stitches between those that tucked. So the center one of those is the 3rd of them. So it's every 6th stitch again, but I didn't select the correct one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. 1, 2. Oops, I had my right hand side set to knit back. Let's go to hold and do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And knit back. And the alternate set. There, that one, and that one. If I don't get them just right, it really won't matter for this test because we're testing function. Now let's try something slightly more challenging. On the same row as we let these knit back, we'll put the next batch in to hold. Oh, I don't have that positioned correctly. That's all that is. And push these back to upper working position. Select the next set to tuck. Well, this is doing very, very well. Feels good too. Let's try one more thing. Let's set the machine to hold and do a pretend sock heel in the middle. Basically, I'm short rowing, and ahead of the pass, I'm putting 2 needles in the hole. After, I'm putting 1. So this is an automatic wrap method. And instead of hanging weights here, which you would normally do, this is a little enough piece. I can get my thumbnail, or tip of my thumb really, into it. And now we'll short row out. That did just beautifully. I'm going to go more slowly going out. Won't be like a true sock heel, a funny shape like a stuffed animal nose or something. 1 needle at a time back to work. In my opinion, for hobby machines, short rowing and tuck, being the more challenging operations, are the ones that really tell the tale of how well is the machine functioning. And the answer is very, very well. I'm pleased with this. We got all the way down to 2 stitches. That's pretty impressive. Excellent work, machine.